Hi guys, Armored Pants here, and I have another tank review for you. This is a premium tank T-25, which is a tier 5 medium German tank, and we have a complete guide for you. Let's have a look at the tech spec, and as always we will use blitzhanger.com. Now, the T-25 is one of my favourite tanks, one of my favourite premium tanks at tier 5. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but let's have a look at it in some detail and see, and you can make up your own mind and see if you like it. Its major rival, I guess, is the Panzer 5.4 because that's the most equivalent tank in their terms. It's also a German tier 5 medium tank, and it's a debate as to which you prefer. But let's have a look at this tank anyway and see. It's 2,100 gold, so it's about €10, so it's not extravagantly priced. It's actually very good value for money, particularly when you consider some of the other things that have been for sale recently by Wargaming at really exorbitant prices. I load out this tank using gun rammer because I want to reduce the loading time as much as possible, but I use then supercharge and refined gun to increase the muzzle velocity and chance of penetration over distance, which I find particularly of use for long range sniping. And one of the things about this tank is that without supercharge, its muzzle velocity is relatively low, and therefore you need to use supercharge to increase that muzzle velocity. It has AP and APCR rounds. It also has HE, but the pen on the HE is very bad. So unless it's something really light, like an A20 or something like that, or a Lux, and that you can fire into the back of it, you're not going to pen with HE. So you're normally going to be using your AP rounds and APCR. You need APCR, which, as we know, does less damage but has more penetration. If you're up tiered, if you're up against a KV-1S or something like that, you will need to have APCR rounds loaded up. Now, the turret traverse speed is very poor on this tank. It moves like it's in treacle, it moves in slow motion. Now, there are things we can do to counter that, but you just need to be aware of that with the tank, because the turret speed is very slow, especially compared to other mediums, and you need to be really cognizant of that when you're for your gameplay and adapt your gameplay accordingly. But we will look at that during the game that we're going to see here in a few minutes. Now, the armour on this tank is Schrodinger's armour, which I call it, because it's there, but it's also not there. So you can see from this armour profile, it doesn't really have much armour. Yet, if you've played against this tank, and when you play with this tank, you will bounce a significant amount of shots. So why is that? Well, it's largely due to the fact that this tank has amazing angles and amazing sloped armour. This, while a German tank, was actually developed by Skoda in the Czech Republic and was taken over by the Germans after the occupation in 1938-39, and then was brought into the German armaments industry. Now, the tank was only ever put onto blueprints and was never actually produced, but you can see that they were experimenting. And by the way, Skoda made amazing tanks and chassis, and many of the German tanks that invaded France and Poland actually had Czech chassis. But unusually, this tank has a Czech gun as well as a Skoda gun, which gives it different handling characteristics to normal German guns. Now, as you can see, they were experimenting with a lot of sloped armour, and it has fantastic angles all over the tank, which actually makes the tank, by the way, a very, very good looking tank. It's just a nice thing to have in your garage. But those sloped and those angles, especially when the tank is moving at its top speed of 60 kilometers an hour, will bounce shots. You will bounce a lot of shots. Yet if you just look at the armour profile, you shouldn't bounce those shots. So that's why I call it Schrodinger's armour. It's there, but it's also not there. But if you move at high speed in this tank, you will bounce shots. Also, as you saw earlier, front on, especially against tier 4s, it's difficult to pen, and the turret is also difficult to pen. So if you can get hull down, just show your turret, you will do a lot of damage and a lot of good. Now, in this game, you'll also see I go hull down against the KV later on, so we will see how effective the tank is for that. Now, you can see the tank is really fast. I'm blasting up here, and even uphill I'm still just doing under 50 kilometers an hour. The tank, however, while very fast, is not particularly agile, and it shares that trait with the Panzer 5.4. What do we mean by that? Well, I mean it's very fast, but it's slow to accelerate, and it has a poor traverse speed, so therefore it's not agile. So that may seem contradictory, but while fast, it is not agile, and we need to bear that in mind too. However, it has a very strong engine, so you can see I can just hang on to the side of the hill here and pop up. Now I didn't realise that T1 was over there, so now I need to be cognizant of him. But I know that the AMX is moving up, so he's going to attract the T1's attention, so I move up to push onto this T-34 to clear this corner. Now, I mentioned the port reverse speed, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pre-aim the gun. I'm going to align the gun with the target, so when I come out, it's already pre-aligned and I just fire, and I don't have to worry about the port reverse speed. Again, I have the gun already pre-aligned, so I'm not concerned about my port reverse speed. Now, if I had not aligned the gun, I was driving with the gun facing straight forward, when I came around that corner, I would have to wait several seconds while the gun traversed, because it is very poor traverse speed. But by pre-aiming it like that, I'm already in line and I can just fire off the shot as soon as I come around the corner and the T-34 is in sight. Again, I'm being cautious here. I don't want to give away any free hit points to the guy, so I'm keeping in cover. This poor M7 here, I think he's a new player. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's kind of gets in the way several times during the game. So if you are a new player, just please try to be aware of your teammates and who's around you. Now look, this is what I mean about the poor muzzle velocity. See that? That missed by way off. And if you were in another German tank, you probably at least, if not pen, at least hit the KV. But closer up, the muzzle velocity is not an issue. And you can see here, what I do is now I'm in a sort of peek-a-boom situation. I'm taking on two targets, I'm putting in damage on the Panzer IV. Now I decide to take on the KV. I switch up to APCR because I'm quite prepared to swap out the lower damage for 100% certainty of pen. And look at the positioning here, as I just mentioned in the caption below. What I'm doing is I'm only showing him my turret. And I've always said in previous videos that you should have your front of your tank facing the enemy. But I'm not doing that in this case. But why? Well, he can't see the side of my tank. He can only see the turret as I rock back and forth. Plus, by being side onto him, it means I can maneuver him back and forth much quicker than if I was facing onto him. So that's just a bit of tank positioning, and that was optimal for that map, for that piece of that map, because I used the terrain just to show my turret, and I used the position of the tank to move back and forth as quickly as possible, not giving the KV an opportunity to get me while I'm putting several rounds into him and eventually clear them. Now again, I pre-aimed the gun here, so as you can see, my turret position and gun position as I came on allows me to counteract the poor traverse speed of the tank by having the gun pre-aimed. If I had come around with the gun straight on, I would have had to wait several seconds again while aligned, and then I would have probably taken damage. Now here is another note on team play. Don't be like the Stug. Watch what he does here. He blocks my retreat. In this case it's not so serious because only the A20 is in front of me, and actually I bounced a shot off him here. However, if that had been a KV1, or if I was up tier to KV1S or something, he could actually have gotten me killed. So again guys, like I was saying around the M7, please be aware of your teammates and what they're doing. Be a good team player. It is a team game. And this is not something that you need amazing skills to do. It's just really just looking around you and being aware of what your teammates are doing or trying to do. Because as we said in game philosophy, when your total pool of hit points of all 7 members of the green team reaches 0, you lose. So therefore, if you cost your teammate points, you're actually affecting your ability to win the game and your statistics. So please be cognizant of that and be aware of the game philosophy. Now, that's the end there. As you can see, I got a mastery badge and I did over 2.8k damage. Any tier 5 tank that can do 2.8k damage has to be good, right? I mean, that's medium tank damage that you wouldn't be ashamed of in tier 10. So this tank really can farm out the damage, as you saw there. And there was no really easy kills in that game. I think we had to work hard for the victory there. We got around the map, we used the speed of the tank, and we used the gun, and we used the shell selection, positioning, and the strengths of the tank. So we optimized the strengths of the tank, its speed, its good turret, it's good gun, it's decent reload, and we also used the terrain to best effect to maximize the performance in that game. So I think overall pretty good game, even though it was only 2 kills. Really a pretty massive carry, almost 3,000 damage in a tier 5 is really pretty impressive, I think, and any tank that can do that Has to be good, right? Now let's have a recap. The tank is very good value for money, 21,000 gold. It's not in any way exorbitant, and I think it's fair value for money. It has a good gun. It is lacking a little in velocity, as we saw when we shot at the KV-1. But if you use supercharged and refined gun, you'll get 7.1 second reload, and you'll be able to farm damage as I did there. It's really fast, 60 kilometers per hour, but it's not agile, as I said. It's slow to accelerate, and it has awful traverse speed. So move your tracks when you're aiming the gun, and pre-aim the gun, and that will counter that significantly. There's a decent rate of fire, as we said, 7.1 second reload, so it's decent versus other mediums. Not spectacular, but it holds its own. And it does have this Schrodinger's armour. The armour's there, but it's not there. And just be aware of that. And you increase the chances of having that armour when you move faster. Credit coefficient 147%, which is pretty good. It's better than the Panzer 5.4, which is 140%. And it is a good tank to have in your garage, good value for money, and it's lots of fun. However, if you need to choose one, I choose the Panzer 4.5 first because it's more conventional gameplay, and then later on get to T-25. That's just a personal opinion. Okay, take care guys, see you now, hope you enjoyed it, cheers.